Well, let's get to something more fun, which is the 6th District Convention, which is going on tomorrow in Harrisonburg at the James Madison Convocation Center to nominate a federal office, to nominate somebody to run for Congress as a Republican to replace the retiring House Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte. Boy, I tell you what, if you're Bob Goodlatte and you're looking at this, and whatever you think of Bob Goodlatte, I mean, he's the House Judiciary Chairman. I mean, he's a very serious fellow and a very deep thinker, and has been his whole life, and he's represented that district with a lot of class and a lot of clout, the 6th District. And times I've been in his company, I mean, it's all business. He's a really great guy, and he's done a lot for his district and for the country. And boy, he must be looking at this thing and just shaking his head. I mean, this is really one of the most obscene conventions I've ever witnessed in my entire life. Obscene. It really is. And, you know, I can't go and broadcast it because they cannot meet simple needs that I have. I mean, I can't put a quality thing on the air. Now, people Facebooking about there's a conspiracy. No. Here's what I asked for. I need to go on the floor. I need a table that folds 2x3. I need a power cord. I need an outlet. Like there's 1,000 outlets there. I need an outlet. I need 2 aluminum folding chairs for me and Saxman. And I need to run my cable from my radio equipment into the speaker box so that I can carry the speeches back live, because this thing could go on for 8 hours. We have nothing to talk about for 8 hours if we can't tell you what's going on. What are we going to do? Run reruns? I mean, it's ridiculous. So that's what I need. Everybody else has been able to do it. Scott Sayer doesn't want to do it. He says no, and what am I going to do? I'm not a professional protester, right? I'm not going in with a protest flag. You don't want to accommodate me, don't. I'll not work. I don't care. I mean, you do what you want, then our company's going to make our decision. So that's passed. I'm done with that. But what has gone on here is unbelievable. I mean, this has got to be one of the lowest points. I mean, the Republican Party of Virginia has lost 9 straight races statewide, and they're going to lose again in November. It's going to be 10. Now you're into double digits. Now your state is blue. I doubt it's even going to be looked at by the Trump 2020 campaign as a swing state or a battleground state. It's going to be right up there with New Jersey, I would think, after the shellacking they're going to get in November again. But all of that, and you have this horrific convention, and what the Dunbar people, led by Scott Sayer and some of his unit chairs, have done to rig this convention is somewhere between obscene and outrageous. And then on a third level, it's just sad. It's just sad that we're still dealing with this. The Republican Party of Virginia is never going anywhere when we have this kind of stuff going on. And I got to tell you, this is why I hate these conventions. If it was a primary, there's a winner. There's a primary for U.S. Senate. There's going to be a winner. The other 2 people are going to congratulate the winner. It's likely to be Corey Stewart. Everybody's going to move on. Nothing like this. I mean, this is just unbelievable. I mean, regardless of what they did, not accommodating our company's needs to broadcast their conventions beyond me. But look, here's how the whole thing started. And this was started by the Cynthia Dunbar people. Okay, this is not like Scott Sayer acting on his own by himself and feels like rigging. This was a coordinated effort with the Cynthia Dunbar campaign because they want to go to Congress. And so as soon as they knew that Goodlatte was retiring and they had the power to get a convention, which is the only way she could win, she could never win a primary, they started rigging it from the first day. In fact, they were planning to rig it even before it was announced. I mean, the whole thing started with Dunbar working for Scott Sayer, who's the chairman there, working for Sayer and planning her campaign in Sayer's office. I mean, you talk about violating federal election law. There's one right there. They were scheming their campaign in his office. You got to disclose all that. They didn't do it. Okay, minor thing, right? So they start out by trying to rig the rules in January, and they have a meeting, and they say, even though every other convention is always elected their nominee or their winner by majority, which means that you eliminate bottom-tier candidates until somebody gets 50% plus 1, they rigged it so it was a plurality. So you have one vote and you leave. knowing their candidate Dunbar could never get over 50%, but she could get 40% or 38%. So they have a meeting and they try to rig it for a plurality, which is within their purview, but it breaks precedent, never been done. Then the RPV steps in and said, no, you can't do that. You have to have a vote on the floor, and we oppose that, and it should be by a majority. So that goes out the window. Then the Sayre Dunbar people, Sayre is the chairman, all of the delegate lists that were filed by these individual units and cities and whatever they have, they go to Scott Sayre. He's the chairman, right? That's the way it works. Well, rather than distribute the delegate lists to all of the candidates, 8 people running for Congress, he withholds them for weeks, only gives them to Dunbar. So Dunbar has the delegate lists, her campaign has the delegate list a full 6 weeks before anybody else did, which means they can plan, mine, do research. So they have a 6-week advantage before everybody else got the delegate list. Then there's a bunch of plurality call appeals. Then the plurality call gets overturned by the Republican Party of Virginia and their state central committee. Then, as I said, Dunbar's caught on the Sayre payroll, which is a violation of federal election. It's not a violation. They didn't report it. It's legal, but you have to report it. Then we find out that the Dunbar Sayre paid half the district budget in speaking fees to people that have now come back to endorse Dunbar. So they had a district fundraiser. Half of it went in speaking fees for people that now back Dunbar. Then there was an FEC complaint filed against Sayre and Dunbar. Then they threw the media out of the convention floor. Then they threw the kids out. Then they said you can't campaign on the floor, which has never been done because they don't want the Klein people talking to their Dunbar people. Then they start challenging the credentials of delegates, sending emails saying that they're not eligible. Emails, robocalls, every trick in the book. Then John Whitbeck has to step in. Then their rules committee throws out a smokescreen. Then their rules committee says, okay, the media, 2 people on the media for each company can go on the floor, but no tables, no cables, no power. So basically you can't broadcast anything live. You can go in and, I guess, with a pen and a pad, that's about it. Or a tape recorder, but you can't do anything live. Then I have to back out because I can't put a show on. In the mezzanine, there's nothing to do there. I can't do it. Then the credentials chairman inactivates credentials of challenged delegates until after the credentials report comes out. Then the Dunbar team defends their delegate challenges to the Republican Party of Virginia. Then I'm not even half done. Then the Republican Party of Virginia pushes back, calls challenges illegal, and demands they stop. Scott Sayre then hit with an FEC complaint, number 2, for failing to file the reports. Then Scott Sayre smacked with FEC complaint number 3 for illegal contribution from his defense contractor company. Then Dunbar accused of getting answers on iPad during a debate. I mean, this goes on and on and on. This is the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. I mean, the Scott Sayre and Dunbar combined cabal has done everything they can to rig, cheat, steal, and black out this convention. It is unbelievable. This has been allowed to step on. And if she wins, she's likely not be the nominee anyway because they're going to file an appeal and it's going to get overturned. I mean, you're going to end up with chaos because of what they've done. And there's nobody there to even broadcast it because I can't get simple requests met that everybody else has met for 7 years. I mean, that's the thing. I ask for table, chair, power, and pod into the speeches. I've done, 10 of these conventions? Both sides of the aisle? Everybody's like rolling out the red carpet. Sure, table, where do you want it? Power here, whatever. We want to broadcast. Thanks for coming. These guys, I can't get a table. I can't put a show on. Unbelievable. Then let's talk about Cynthia Dunbar. Okay, look, I have no dog in this hunt. I'm not in the 6th district, but let's just knock off the nonsense here. So let me just tell you about Cynthia Dunbar. Let me just tell you the truth, right? They know how to run a convention. And I think she's going to win. Because Chris Shores and the Dunbar forces have been planning and scheming this convention for a very long time. And they're a convention juggernaut. I saw her beat Suzanne Obenshain in Suzanne's hometown in Harrisonburg. I saw it with my own eyes. They're very good. They're going to have a great speech. They're going to have a phenomenal video. They're going to blow it out. And they're going to get their people out. All this talk about they're not getting their people out like is ridiculous. Their people will show up. Every last one of them will show up. And if they don't, they'll be picking them up in Ubers. They will be there. But, I fought Dunbar hand-to-hand combat, so I know how tough she is. But Cynthia Dunbar is a never-Trumper. She just doesn't like the president. Simple. She's for Cruz. She'll always be for Cruz. And so I know firsthand. I fought her at that convention where, they combined with Cuccinelli in screwing the pooch on the deal we made and screwing us out of 3 delegates in Harrisonburg that we had been promised. And I put no fight up because at the end of the day, they reneged on the deal. We didn't get our people out, and they knew it. So fought her on that. I ran for convention chairman going to Cleveland against Cuccinelli, who beat me by 4 votes. Dunbar was a swing vote in that, and I was on the phone with her probably 6 hours over 3 days. I just, couldn't get her vote. We even had New York call her, couldn't get her vote. And the reason why they wanted Cuccinelli as chairman, even though his candidate, Ted Cruz, was not going to be the nominee, they wanted him as chairman because they went to Cleveland really thinking they could wrest the nomination away from Donald Trump, who won 37 states and had an overwhelming majority of the committed delegates and had the biggest numbers of primary voters in the history of Republican primary elections. They really thought they could go to Cleveland and steal the nomination from him and give it to Cruz by unbinding the delegates. And so we went to Cleveland, and I fought Cynthia Dunbar every day for 2 weeks. First in rules, then at the convention. All I did was fight her. They wanted to unbind the delegates and vote for Cruz and deny Trump the nomination. That was their plan going in. And all of these crazy petitions that Ken did, she signed them all. Right? They had a majority. So I fought her on that. Then remember the night of Cruz's ridiculous speech that he made where he wouldn't endorse Trump and he said, vote your conscience, right? Well, she's up on a chair howling and hooting. Don't endorse the president. Vote your conscience. Nice, Cynthia. She was up on a chair, all excited. Remember that? Then I remember as chairman of the Trump campaign calling her up in the fall, and I'm like, look, I need a public endorsement of the president. She's like, I don't need to do that. I'm speaking for him as a surrogate. Well, that's fine, but you're running for something, and you're the state committee woman. I need a public, endorsement, on a piece of paper. I never got it. Maybe she put it out there. I never saw it. But I remember I had that conversation with her. So this is not a surprise to me. This is not a shocker to me. But at the end of the day, if Dunbar is going to win, I think, and she's going to go to Congress, and she'll abandon the president the first chance she gets because she doesn't like him. She's for Cruz. That's the problem. But even that, I'd have no problem if they would just win the convention the old-fashioned way. Get more delegates than the other person. That's all you have to do. Get more delegates. Sign them up. Get them there. Have your debate. Make your speech. But instead, I just read you a litany, a laundry list of shenanigans, cheating, rigging. Now they want Steve Albertson as a temporary chairman. Steve Albertson is a great guy. Overt Dunbar supporter. Plus, parliamentarian genius. Plus, big-time lawyer. Big time. Washington lawyer. Hey, Steve is big time. Steve's not some guy that, you're going there, you got a DUI or something, or, your son shoplifted something at JCPenney. No, this is like big time. Like, this guy makes $1,000 an hour. This guy's a big time lawyer. And he's running for temporary chair. And if he wins that, Dunbar's going to win. The first vote you're going to see on Saturday is who's the temporary chair, Albertson or Jack Wilson. Jack's a great guy, but nothing like Steve Albertson as far as knowing how to manipulate a convention. Albertson is the convention parliamentarian King Kong. And if he gets elected temporary chair, Dunbar's going to win. No question. They'll find a way because they're good at this stuff. I don't know how to do it. They do. Jack just wants to get in, Jack Wilson from the 4th District, my chair, he just wants to get in and run a fair convention. Steve wants to get in, and he will do everything in his power to help Dunbar win. And there's all kinds of things that go on at these conventions. So, look, that's the bottom line. Dunbar's the favorite. Good luck beating her. The thing's rigged. And Klein says they're going to win. Maybe they are. I have no idea. I can't tell you what's happening because I can't get a table and chairs. The whole thing is absurd. And I'm certainly not going to go there, with my staff waiting outside if we're going to go on the air. I mean, our company's way beyond that. I'm just not doing it. So we'll see, right? Monday we'll have all the results. Somebody will win, somebody will lose. But I got to tell you, in the future, if there was ever an argument to get rid of these ridiculous conventions in Virginia for Republicans, the 6th District is the poster child for primaries.